Today in Health IT, we have another interview from the CHIME Fall Forum. And what we did was a set of interviews in action, which we are really excited about. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16 hospital system and creator of This Week in Health IT, a channel dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. Again, as I said, got a great opportunity to go to San Diego, visit with some CIOs and the people that make the magic happen in healthcare and healthcare IT. And here's another one of these great interviews. All right, another interview from the CHIME floor. We're here with GP Singh with ELLKAY.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
I would normally ask what's top of mind, but top of mind for you is interoperability, I assume.
Absolutely, interoperability is the big thing that everybody's trying to solve, and definitely at the top of my mind.
So what kind of conversations, in what aspect are they looking at interoperability? Is it broadly to share information with other health systems? Is it sharing it with consumers? Or is it just all of it?
What's been really interesting is that the healthcare systems have really evolved around having to share data, so it isn't just between systems. It's now with a lot of the digital health systems that are out there. There's a lot of the digital front door applications, patient engagement applications out there. So digital health has really taken off in a big way in the last couple of years with COVID, obviously. In addition to that, there's pop health platforms, there's life sciences, there's working with all of the networks out there. So there's a lot that happens in the hospital or a healthcare system around exchange of data, and so interoperability really plays a key role.
What about, 21st century cures, has that spurred that on a little bit, or is that just naturally happening as a result of our digital transformation?
That's been part of the deal with 21st Century Cures Act. There's been a lot of emphasis on being able to allow for easy exchange of data. But also COVID has really made that even more imperative, because telehealth was almost like people were trying to work in the telehealth space. It wasn't obvious that there was going to be a lot of folks using it, but COVID's really changed that around. It's gained a lot of acceptance. And with telehealth, a lot of the digital health applications that have really gained acceptance. So a lot of those factors out there.
So ELLKAY is pretty much agnostic, right? You're not like pushing a single tool or solution at this point.
ELLKAY has been in business for about, 20 years. We've built a platform over that time. We're known as the healthcare data plumbers for a reason, because we understand healthcare data plumbing better than a lot of other folks out there. So we have a platform that's been built to enable data across different entities, different types of applications, and we have our own interface engine that really has been developed within the organization. When you think about it, 9 out of the 10 labs in the country work with us. We're pretty big in the lab space. We're pretty big in the data archiving, data migration space. We're pretty big in the ambulatory data space, right? And then, of course, in the interoperability space, and now also in the payer space, we're making some headway over there. So across a lot of segments in that sense.
So I'm going to give you my use case, and I'd love to just bat it around. So Southern California, we weren't able to employ the docs, so we had a foundation model. We ended up with 100 different instances of the EHR. It's not like we could have said, hey, we're all going to a single EHR, that'll solve the issue. That was not even on the table.
Right.
So we had to figure out how to build first the clinically integrated network. And so with the clinically integrated network, you have to have the metrics that you're going to be providing back to those physicians to create value from that network itself. So there was a lot of disparate systems. We had to bring all that data together. We had to put it into some sort of data analytics engine,
right.
And then we had to produce things and get it back into the workflow so that they could utilize it. So I was trying to solve that in 2012, 2013. Have we solved that, or is that still?
Yeah, so we've solved that to a large extent. We've got something known as a clinical data exchange, where we bring in data from disparate systems. Community health systems out of Indiana uses us, for example, where when a patient walks into an Epic instance, right, or into a hospital, and their primary care is sitting on all kinds of different systems out there, we're able to bring that data into our CDX platform, make that available through Epic or through Cerner or whatever system they might be out there, so that you'll get the holistic view of what the patient's record looks like. And then that same platform then becomes helpful to be able to feed a lot of the analytics and the quality platforms and be able to feed that. So the pop health vendors use us for that. Folks that are around aggregating data for life sciences trials and clinical trials use us for that, because we clearly have demonstrated the ability to bring all of that data and create that sort of a consolidated view of that data. So we are doing that right now across a lot of customers.
What's the mature, and I'm not throwing this out as a buzzword that's going to solve the world. I understand its limitations, but what's the maturity level of Fire right now?
Fire has been on fire for a while. Again, kind of using the term over there, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Just as an example, a lot of the EMR companies have enabled Fire to access data out of the EMR, but still not enabled to be able to write back into the EMR. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done around that, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. And I think in the next few years, we are going to see some more levels of maturity, but I wouldn't call it fully mature, but it's kind of getting there.
Writing data back into the EMR has always been one of those things that we are very cautious of,
right?
Because it's the system of record around the patient's
right.
health and those kind of things. Plus, we don't want to clog it up. So even though we can connect to all these really cool devices and pull that data in, the personal devices and whatnot, we're still reluctant to bring that data in. Are we starting to figure out ways to incorporate that data?
Yeah. So what you're saying is right? I mean, there's so much data that, and ultimately, is that data even going to get used by anybody, or is somebody even going to look at it if everything is just kind of put back into the EMR? There's got to be a certain process and a certain way to kind of bring that data in. Maybe insights from that data is probably more helpful than just pure raw data, right? And maybe bringing those insights into the EMR might be a better way to kind of really have actionable goals around.
So instead of moving every time I step on the scale into the EHR, you're essentially letting the doctor know this information sits outside of there, but there's analytics being run against it, and it says, hey, Bill's put on 10 pounds since COVID started.
Exactly. Something along those lines might be a better approach, although, right now when you think about it, right, there's patient intake systems. Patient intake systems are getting data from disparate data sources, from the patient, and really taking a lot of information and trying to help and move that into sort of a pre-encounter sort of a data, right? That data model works, right? So those situations work. But then the RPM space where there's remote patient monitoring that's happening, we're working with a lot of remote patient monitoring. What we're seeing over there is the companies that are sending insights or actionable insights are probably have a better chance of engagement with the providers rather than just plain simple, take all the data and throw it into the EMR, which really doesn't generate the same sort of value.
I love the data plumbers. I don't know if you're trying to go away from it or whatnot, because I know some people struggle with that, but that is indicative. That's essentially what you're trying to do is we look out in the city of San Diego,
right.
We don't see the plumbing, we don't see all the things, but if it wasn't there, so many things wouldn't work.
Which is exactly what ELLKAY is about. There's so many places that you don't know ELLKAY is because we literally provide the plumbing, for a lot of these organizations and health systems. But that's what we're really good at, and we want to continue doing that. And I don't think we're going to move away from plumbing. Plumbing is going to be our core business.
Core business. GP, thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate
Thank you, Bill.
There you have it. Hope you enjoyed it. We did 10 of these interviews at the Chime Fall Forum. Hope you check back for some of those other interviews to catch what the industry insiders are saying about healthcare IT.